Hey everyone, Zach here, and welcome to lesson 83 of this RTS tutorial series. This video is a relatively short one because we're just repeating things that we've done already, and this is hopefully going to be the last time we do something like this. It is just again to consolidate knowledge already gained and to practice the skills related to that knowledge. All we're doing in this video, in all roughly 8 minutes of it, is setting up our UI for our units to report the unit happiness, which I know we haven't made a statistic for yet, and to report the unit's job satisfaction. That said, fire up your editor and let's get started. Welcome back to the editor, everybody. And today's lesson is going to be really simple. We're just going to repeat some stuff we've done previously and put into our unit info HUD 2 new progress bars. These progress bars will be our happiness and job satisfaction. So let's go over to our blueprints. Let's open up our widgets and let's go into our unit info HUD. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to select our fatigue box here. And I'm going to select the spacer underneath it, and I'm going to copy it twice into our details vertical box. That's one, there's two, and I'm going to collapse all this. I'm going to grab both of these, vertical box now 0 and vertical box 1 with the spacers, and I'm going to drag them until I'm just above that fatigue box there. And you can see we have fatigue, fatigue, fatigue in 3 there. So this first one will be our happiness. Now we haven't actually set up the metric for this yet, but I'm just going to put this in now so we don't have to do another one of these short little episodes where we're just covering this refresher material. So it'll be happiness box, which is such a weird name. It makes me want to make so many bad jokes. Happiness text. And this will just be called happiness, like a drug of goodness. Sorry, I'll stop with the bad jokes now. Happiness prog bar, and I'm going to change this to a reddish orangey color. There we go. I'll go with that color. And then this will be our job sat box. And in our job sat box, we'll have our job satisfaction text. So job sat text. And this will be job satisfaction. And we'll change the prog bar over to our job sat prog bar. And we'll go purplish for this one, just cuz. There we go. All right, I'm going to change the binding first on the job sat prog bar because we know that one's going to work. I forgot to rename this. Let's quickly rename that as set job sat prog bar. And this is fairly simple. We get our unit reference. From here, we get our stats, or get unit stats. I almost typed in our stats. And, well, we have job satisfaction. We can just plug that into there, because we've maxed it out at 1. In fact, actually, we're just going to copy this because we can repeat that all over again for our happiness. Even though we do not have our happiness our happiness variable set up yet, we can set up our prog bar. And this will be our set happiness prog bar. There we go. Plug that into there. And we have happiness in there. We can just plug that into there. All right. Now let's just make sure this works. Let's open up our game. Oh, they got into the building before I could do anything with them. There we go. Move them away. And there we go. We can see 0.9 there. It's decreasing. That's decreasing. Awesome. Now what we can do to test to make sure it actually increases is we're going to go to our unit. Let's go to our unit master. So open up our stats here. And I'm going to change the happiness just so we have a number in there. I'm going to set it to 0.75. And then I'm going to find our current health, and I'm going to set that to 100. I'm going to take our fatigue, and I'm going to set it to 0. I'm going to take the hunger, also set that to 0. The fear, set that to 0 as well. And job satisfaction, I'm going to set to 0.5. And then this is an engineer unit, so all we have to do is send them into a building to repair it. But I'm going to just move them for a moment. And we can see there's our happiness, the job satisfaction. And it should be increasing right now. It is slowly. Let's send them to do a job. So they're going to repair this building. As you can see, it's been damaged already per our earlier settings. We can see that the building health is getting greater. And if we open this up, we can see the job satisfaction is also improving. So we know that that's working. There we go. And then it maxes out. So our job satisfaction progress bar is working. We know it's working for both. Now, something you might want to consider, and this is something that I spent a bit of time wrestling if I wanted to address it in this series or not. And I think that it's important to address, but I don't think it fits within this series, so I might do a side video on addressing this sort of issue. So if we open up our AI real quick and take a look at what's happening here. In fact, actually, before you even do that, we need to do one other thing. We need to, now that we have the progress bar, delete this debugging stuff at the very end here. All right, so the thing I was mentioning that you might want to consider, you might want to look at changing. Let's see, we have our fear right here. Fear does all this stuff, right? And then earlier on in here, we have our fatigue. Fatigue here is doing stuff, right? Well, why am I bringing that up? We also have our health. We have our health and our fatigue. Why am I bringing these two things up after bringing up fear? Well, if we pop open our fear, either one, doesn't matter if we open up our, that's the wrong section. Doesn't matter if we open up our fear increase or decrease. The math is the same in both. In both of these, fatigue and health affect fear. And we might want to consider in the math we use, are we double counting fatigue and our fear levels, fatigue and our health levels when we have both of them and our fear inside of our job satisfaction? And this is something I was going to consider how to address for our happiness, but because we aren't using that advance of math and they shouldn't affect each other too much, it isn't something that fits within the series. But when you consider balancing, this might be a factor you want to consider. And this also might be the shortest lesson we've had in this series so far. So, all of that said, in the next video, what we are going to do is we are going to tackle setting up our happiness statistic. And then we're going to consider, when we look at our behavior tree, what our happiness will do. We'll also consider how job satisfaction is going to play a role in that. Both meta statistics will work together to impact upon what happens inside this tree. And we will then take care of our unit trees that will come down here. And there'll be 4 different ones, one for our infantry, one for our support, one for our engineer, and one for our harvester. All right. All of that said, if you've enjoyed this video or this series, go ahead and hit that like button down below. It really helps this channel out. And if you want to help this channel further, consider becoming a supporter on Patreon. All of that said, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. And if you want to make sure you know when that tutorial is out, when we take care of our happiness settings for our units, and then when we take care of how that's going to affect our units, go ahead and hit that subscribe icon and notify bell so you know when that video is out. And as always, I hope that you have a wonderful day.